Some of the most powerful forces in a team aren't found in dashboards or meeting notes. They exist beneath the surface, subtle, emotional undercurrents that quietly shape how people show up, interact, and perform. Jealousy, mistrust, and resentment rarely appear in formal feedback or direct conversations. Instead, they show up as side comments, sarcasm, delayed responses, or even polite avoidance. These behaviors may seem minor until collaboration starts breaking down and productivity drops without a clear explanation. That's the challenge with emotional dynamics. They remain invisible until their impact becomes undeniable, and by the time we notice, the damage may already be spreading. For first-time leaders, recognizing these undercurrents is essential. You can't fix what you can't see, and ignoring tension doesn't make it go away. Jealousy is one of the most underestimated forces in team dynamics, not because it's rare, but because it's often hidden. It doesn't start with open conflict. It starts with perceived unfairness, when someone feels their effort, talent, or loyalty isn't being recognized equally. According to equity theory, people constantly compare their input and reward with others. When they sense imbalance, emotions like jealousy emerge, even if no one speaks about it directly. This emotional response creates a quiet form of internal competition. Team members may begin to withhold support, make sarcastic comments, or disengage from group efforts. It's subtle but powerful, slowly undermining trust, weakening collaboration, and creating invisible walls between people. As a first-time leader, you may not see it immediately, but recognizing the signs can help you address it early. Mistrust is like an invisible wall. It doesn't always show up in arguments or loud disagreements, but it quietly shapes how people behave. Team members might stop sharing information. They might start blaming others when things go wrong, or they begin to micromanage every decision. These are all signs that trust is breaking down. To understand why this happens, let's look at the trust equation. Trust equals credibility plus reliability plus intimacy. RIRE, self-orientation. Each part of this equation plays a role. Credibility is about believing someone knows what they're doing and tells the truth. Reliability means they follow through. They do what they say. Intimacy is about emotional safety, feeling safe to speak up or admit mistakes. But the biggest trust killer is high self-orientation, when someone puts their own interests above the team. As a leader, you can start rebuilding trust by being consistent, creating space for open conversations, and shifting the focus from blame to problem solving. Trust doesn't grow overnight, but it erodes fast if ignored. Leading with transparency and empathy is the first step to tearing down that invisible wall. At first, it might start with something small, a missed thank you, being left out of a meeting, or getting one extra task that no one else wants to do. But over time, those moments pile up. Team members begin to feel ignored, overworked, or unappreciated. The most common triggers? Perceived disrespect, lack of recognition, and a workload that never seems to end. These don't just affect morale, they drain emotional energy. What makes resentment dangerous is its quiet nature. People rarely speak up when they first feel it. Instead, they disengage. They stop volunteering, become passive in meetings, or begin to silently question the fairness of the system. If left unaddressed, that tension grows, and eventually it erupts. Sometimes in conflict, sometimes in quiet quitting. Either way, it damages team cohesion. Leaders must stay alert. Check in with your team regularly, not just about tasks, but how they're feeling. Recognition, clarity, and empathy aren't just soft skills. Jealousy, mistrust, and resentment don't just exist in isolation. They form a self-reinforcing cycle where each emotion feeds the next, and the cycle keeps getting stronger until something breaks. The trouble begins with jealousy. It's often triggered by perceived unfairness, favoritism, unequal recognition, or unclear roles. This creates subtle competition and erodes open collaboration. As jealousy lingers, it leads to mistrust. Team members begin to hoard information, shift blame, or micromanage decisions. Communication becomes strained and trust begins to crumble. When mistrust isn't addressed, it deepens into resentment. Over time, frustrations accumulate. People become disengaged, morale plummets, and the emotional distance between team members grows. What's dangerous about this cycle is how quickly it can spiral. Resentment only strengthens jealousy, and jealousy reignites mistrust. As a leader, understanding this sequence is key. The sooner you can identify signs of these emotions, whether through passive resistance, communication breakdowns, or disengagement, the sooner you can intervene. By recognizing the patterns early, you can stop the cycle before it entrenches itself and rebuild trust, collaboration, and team morale. Managing a team is like driving a car on a long journey. If everyone knows their role, who's steering, who's navigating, things move smoother. But if roles are unclear, even small bumps can feel like breakdowns. Recognition works the same way. When it's clear and fair, people feel seen. But favoritism, real or imagined, can turn teammates into quiet rivals. Sometimes, all it takes is one honest, mediated conversation to release the pressure. A safe space to say what's not being said. That works better than forced games or trust falls that miss the real issues. The truth is, emotions fuel every team. Ignore them, and the engine overheats.